wasn't just technological advances that were critical to the way that we live now that occurred in the 50s. Medical advances were also very critical in how we're able to enjoy life today. In the field of vaccines and the fields of antibiotics, this was definitely critical during the 50s. Now, even though penicillin was made actually decades before the 1950s, penicillin and other antibiotics got basically administered during World War II, and many of the soldiers that normally would have got severe infections during their war wounds were able to fight that off with penicillin, and this was able to get mass produced and perfected more in the 50s, and we still have the foundation of those antibiotics from the 50s now. Vaccines in particular are the ones that are probably the most critical, and even though vaccines have a lot of controversy attached to them right now, vaccines in the 50s and definitely vaccines now are definitely needed to stop the spread of not just horrible diseases but fatal diseases. During the 50s, polio and smallpox were devastating diseases, and in particular polio that was able to be so crippling to children and adults. Well, action definitely was needed, and polio definitely being spread like wildfire was definitely not any better. And so Dr. Salk was able to work on this polio vaccine, and he was able to try it out, test it out, and he actually had his family injected with the vaccine first because he was confident that it was going to work. And so it did work. And then once he saw that this vaccine was effective in stopping people from getting infected with polio, he was able to get the vaccine formula, spread it to give it to other pharmacies, and then spread that to all across the country. And then once he was able to do that, people getting infected with polio dropped significantly. It dropped significantly. And then the same thing with the smallpox vaccine. This devastating disease, if you've ever seen photos of people getting smallpox, it's quite horrifying and it is quite painful. And so when the smallpox vaccine was able to be administered throughout the country, cases of smallpox dropped significantly as well. It had gotten down so much. Polio and smallpox are considered eradicated in this country. And because of that, doctors and scientists were able to work on other diseases and develop vaccines for that as well, such as hepatitis B, measles, mumps, and other diseases that normally would be debilitating for the human population. People receiving these vaccines won't get infected by them. And so these vaccines and their advancements, well, where did it all start? It started here in the 1950s.